Good evening. I'm Dr. Robert Peppercorn, and this is the Yuba City Medical Explorer. As a specialist in skin diseases and allergy, and as host of this program, I will take you on an exploration of the medical communities of Yuba and Sutter counties and bring you behind the scenes of medical care practices right here in our local area. I have a very interesting program for you tonight as we explore the important and vastly popular topic of nutrition. The enjoyment of food plays a vital role for us in our modern society, and many of us are constantly thinking about dieting and better foods for better health. Tonight, we will have the opportunity to meet one of our area's most highly skilled specialists in the field of nutrition, as she takes us on a tour of a local supermarket. The purpose of the tour will be to assist us in choosing good food for good health. This is an extremely timely and very important subject, and I hope that you'll stay with us for the next half hour. Before getting to our topic tonight, let's take a look at the latest medical news. If you're trying to use exercise to lose weight, then you may not be exercising enough, according to a new recently released study. The new study shows that you're not burning off body fat if you exercise twice a week or less. But people who exercise at least 3 times a week will lose body fat even if they're not on a weight reduction diet. Fat is a normal and necessary part of your body. Men should have an average of 11% to 17% body fat, and more than 24% is considered obese, even if the man doesn't look overweight. Women have a higher range of body fat, ranging from 18 to 24%, and more than 24% is considered obese. In the study, the 9 men who completed 20-minute aerobic workouts at least 3 times a week lost an average of 9 pounds. Their body fat declined dramatically from 24% to 19%. The 5 women who exercised 3 times a week lost an average of 5 pounds, and their body fat also declined from 32% to 26%. Next in the medical news is good news for the candy bar. A daily candy bar or an English muffin could satisfy dieters' need for carbohydrates and keep them from binging while trying to lose weight, a researcher says. Recent studies suggest that about half of overweight people crave carbohydrates, sugars, or starches to improve their mood, not just to satisfy hunger. Carbohydrates increase levels of the brain chemical called serotonin, which relieves crankiness and tension, according to researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The study in the International Journal of Eating Disorders examined 20 hefty, self-described carbohydrate cravers. When given an experimental drug that imitates the effects of carbohydrates, the subjects cut their carbohydrate snacking by 41%. My final medical news item gives us new information on the low-fat diet. A new study by the U.S. Department of Agriculture may offer a clue as to why reducing fat in the diet lowers blood pressure. Men in the study who ate low-fat diets to reduce their blood pressure passed more sodium and potassium out of their bodies than those who ate a typical U.S. diet high in fats. High levels of sodium in the diet have been linked to high blood pressure, which affects more than 60 million people in the United States. Potassium's role in high blood pressure is less well understood. But the carefully controlled study of 8 healthy men may help doctors devise a nutrition-oriented approach to preventing high blood pressure in some individuals. My health tip for tonight concerns my recommendations for choosing a qualified medical specialist. Have you ever wondered what to ask your doctor when you're checking out his or her qualifications? You could ask about his medical school background or about their membership in professional societies. However, there's a much more specific and straightforward question to ask. To truly determine whether he has met the best qualifications, you should ask about whether he is board eligible or board certified. Board eligible physicians are those doctors who have completed an advanced training program of from 2 to 7 years after medical school called a residency. During this training period, the young doctor gets extremely intense, very close supervision as he or she learns about caring for diseases of that specialty. After completing this advanced residency, the doctor may call himself board eligible. A board-certified physician is one who, after becoming board eligible, has also completed a complex examination given by professors of his specialty from across the United States. It is truly quite difficult to achieve the status of becoming a board-certified specialist. And the board-certified specialist has achieved the highest degree of professional education and skill in his field and is truly qualified as a medical specialist. Feel free to ask your doctor about his board eligibility or board certification. They will be proud to discuss their qualifications with you. You could also obtain information on a doctor's educational background by calling the Yuba City County Medical Society at 673-6894. That's the County Medical Society at 673-6894. Now, on with the Medical Explorer. Whenever we enter a grocery store, we're faced with the all-too-important decision of deciding just which foods to buy. This decision's quite difficult since we're constantly influenced by the latest trends and advertising gimmicks as presented on TV, radio, and the newspaper. Tonight, we're fortunate on the Medical Explorer to have a guest who is truly qualified to help us make the best decisions on picking the best foods for our health. My guest tonight is Kathy Ang, a registered dietitian with the Yuba County WIC program. Kathy, welcome to the Medical Explorer. Thanks for being here tonight.
Nice to be here.
Many people, Kathy, claim to be true nutrition experts. They call themselves diet counselors, nutritionists, health food experts. Isn't it true that many of these people make this claim without proper backgrounds in health education, nutrition education?
That's true. It's unfortunate, but there are a lot of people that claim to be experts these days. There is no real certification for the term nutritionist, but there is one for a registered dietitian, an RD. The registered dietitian has been trained in dietetics, in food and nutrition, and then they take a test so that they can pass a national board exam to become a registered dietitian. That's what the consumer should look for.
So when they go to different health diet programs around the town, and we're not going to mention any specific ones, they're told that they have a nutritionist on the staff. That might not be a truly qualified individual. Isn't that true?
That's true. They may be qualified and they may not be. But without the RD, there's no verification that they are certified to provide accurate information.
Briefly, would you tell us about your educational background?
Sure. I have a BS, a bachelor's degree in dietetics from UC Davis, and I have a master's in public health nutrition from UC Berkeley.
Pretty impressive. Now, you don't have to have a master's in public health to be a dietitian, isn't that true?
That's correct. You just need a BS level
So you've gone
degree.
beyond what you even need for your profession, which is excellent. What is the connection between nutrition and health?
It's a very strong connection. Good food can contribute to good health. And we do know that there are strong links between poor food choices and risks to different kinds of diseases, in particular heart disease, cancer, obesity, if you want to look at that as a disease or a common health problem, hypertension, and many others.
Is it really true that we are what we eat? We always hear that on commercials and things like that.
I'd say so in general. It's a nice phrase to use, and it's true that people should be aware of what they eat and recognize that it does affect their health.
Do you have a little chart you wanted to show us?
Yes. These are the U.S. dietary guidelines, and I think that they're good guidelines for the average American to follow to decrease their risk for different diseases that I mentioned earlier. I'll just go through them quickly.
Okay.
The first one is to eat a variety of foods daily. Basically, that refers to getting adequate nourishment from different foods, including the milk group, fruits and vegetables, breads and cereals, and your protein-rich foods. The second one says maintain a healthy weight. Of course, we know that if we maintain a healthy weight, that we can decrease our risks for a number of problems. Simple things such as getting around with a normal weight. It's much easier to walk and run without having extra fat to carry. It can also decrease your risk of diabetes and other problems. The third one is to avoid too much fat. Now, of course, that's related to the big problem of heart disease and cancer. Avoiding too much fat means to cut back on your intake of some of the things you see pictured here. Oils, margarine, butter, lard, vegetable shortening, mayonnaise,
Then it also refers to the importance of eating fiber foods, and we know about the nutritional aspects and possible risks of cancer there.
Right.
And what happens with too much sugar?
Too much sugar is basically related to the problem of dental cavities and adding extra calories into your diet that may lead to obesity.
And the risks of too much salt, I see that's important on there too.
Related to hypertension.
And we all know that alcohol in moderation is very important as well. That's very interesting. When we try to achieve a healthy diet at home, our first step, I suppose, would have to be the proper selection of foods at a market. Before we get deeper into this discussion today, I'd like you to help me with my own grocery shopping. So why don't you come with me to Warren's Market, and let's take a look at what foods you think I might do better with.
Great.
Well, Kathy, I think I'm going to use this opportunity today to actually get some of my shopping done. Maybe you can give me some clues as to what I can do to improve my health.
Sure.
Starting over here at fruits and vegetables, I kind of like things like green peppers and apples and oranges. How do I do with that type of selection?
Okay, there's a nice variety of fruits and vegetables available, especially in this local area since we are an agricultural county. And I think the best key is to get fresh fruits and vegetables.
Versus canned things, is what you're saying?
Right. Fresh is usually best. You'll have more nutrition for your money for each bite that you take. It'll taste better. It's usually more colorful, and they are available at low prices during the season.
What do we lose in canned or frozen type vegetables?
Canned and frozen vegetables are acceptable nutritionally. However, in your frozen vegetables, many times there are extra added salt and sugar. There are good manufacturers now that are producing and distributing no added salt and added sugar in some fruits and vegetables, however. In their canned vegetables and fruits, many times there is added salt and sugar that is sometimes not avoidable.
Do we actually lose vitamins in those as well?
Probably not in your frozen foods, but possibly in your canned foods. However, they do try to keep the quality up as well as possible.
Can we pick a few different vegetables and have you say a few words about them? Is that reasonable?
Sure.
Let's say an apple. Is there much to an apple? Does it really keep the doctor away?
Well, I think it's one food that can help contribute to a good diet overall, but getting a variety of fruits and vegetables is really the key. I'd like to focus on a couple of key nutrient items here because there's been a lot of talk about fruits and vegetables that might be able to decrease your chance of cancer.
Oh, yes.
I'd like to focus on that, perhaps.
Let's do that, please.
Okay. One area of interest right now is the possibility that vitamin C-rich fruits and vegetables are really key. Of course, citrus fruits are famous for its vitamin C content. An orange, for example, a lime, lemon, these are all good sources of vitamin C.
So is there evidence now that this may do something to prevent cancer?
Yes, there's evidence, but there's more research going on to try to find out exactly what the link is.
Okay.
It may not be the vitamin C itself. It might be something in the fruit that might be connected with
Well, I'll pick these out then. I want that.
Great. Good.
How about,
strawberries, of course, are also good sources of vitamin C, and there are vegetables that are also good vitamin C sources also. Tomatoes can make a nice salad with that. Your green peppers are good sources.
We're still talking about vitamin C.
Vitamin C.
Okay.
And also cabbage is an excellent source of vitamin C.
We'll take one of those too.
Okay.
Good. Celery and lettuce, what do we find there?
Well, the celery will have some fiber. And of course that's also related to decreasing your risk of cancer by having a high fiber diet. Your lettuce is an interesting thing here. There are a variety of lettuces. Here you see the red leaf lettuce, green leaf lettuce, romaine lettuce, and on the far right, that's iceberg lettuce. Your richest nutrient lettuces will be those that are darker in color and leafier. Particularly, those are going to be higher in vitamin A, which is also related to a decreased risk of cancer.
Great. I've also heard the American Cancer Society is coming out with guidelines in this area as well.
Right. There is a lot of controversy over some of the guidelines, but I think they're good guidelines to go with right now.
Well, what department should we go to next?
How about breads and cereal?
Let's head down there.
Okay.
Usually, Kathy, when I go to the store, the first thing I'll do is just grab a usual loaf of white bread and they make my sandwiches out of that. What do you think about that?
Well, I think white bread can offer some nutrition. However, because there's such a nice variety of breads available on the market now, you can get other ones as well. A whole wheat bread would be an excellent choice.
Like
Here's
one of
an
these
example.
here.
Right. This one says 100% whole wheat. Now this is an interesting one because it's going to have more fiber than your white bread. Fiber is important for regular bowel movements. It can decrease the concentration of mutagens or carcinogens that might occur in the colon area after digestion. And the ingredients on the label is something that consumers might want to look for. The first ingredient says stone ground whole wheat flour, and that's a good clue that this indeed is a whole wheat bread.
So the advantage besides bulk, is there more nutrition as well?
Yes, there is definitely more nutrition. Your white breads are often enriched with maybe 8 different nutrients that are added back after they've lost some of the nutrition from taking the wheat kernel off of the product.
Well, I think I'll switch.
You will switch.
I'll take that, and we'll put back my white bread here. And how about other rolls and things like English muffins, that sort of thing?
That can add nice variety, but of course, many times you will find your choice between white and wheat muffins as well. One thing to be careful of is that just because a bread is brown doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a wheat bread.
We really have to look at the label.
Look at the label, yes.
Okay, well, we've gotten through now fruits, vegetables, and breads. Where do we go next?
How about down to the dairy case?
Okay, heading down to the
aisle.
The cow area. As we walk toward the milk area, I don't want to forget to get my potato chips. I kind of like barbecued flavor potato chips. What's your feeling about potato chips,
Well, of
Kathy?
course, you would get the biggest bag, right?
That's right.
Potato chips are famous for its high fat content and high salt content. And if you don't want to have a good diet, add this to your shopping bag.
Uh-oh. Now I really feel guilty. I don't know if I should do this, but we'll hide it down here just for now.
How about a smaller bag?
Oh, okay, that's a good compromise. Good compromise.
Moderation is what I believe in.
Great. We'll even just take it plain instead of the barbecue, okay? Well, we're getting over to the milk. Milk, we've always been told, is extremely healthy and calcium and things like that. Is that really true?
Yes, milk is an excellent source of calcium, and right now there's been a lot of talk about increasing the RDA, or recommended daily allowance for calcium, particularly in women. There is a relationship between a low calcium diet and the greater chance of osteoporosis. So I would recommend that people do drink adequate amounts of milk.
Now, osteoporosis being the loss of bone minerals as a lady gets older usually is something that can cause broken hips and bone pain and things like that.
Right, a very common problem.
What about the controversy between regular milk, low-fat milk, and skim milk?
Oh, good question. Well, as you are aware, those types of milks are available at the market. My choice would be a non-fat milk or a low-fat milk. Fat, in general, can be lowered in the American diet. For a lot of people, the calories that people take in are primarily fat. And a high-fat diet adds extra calories, possibly increases your chance for heart disease, and possibly increases your chances for cancer. So I would recommend a non-fat or low-fat milk.
Now, every morning when I get up, I have at least 3 glasses of orange juice. I see that sitting right back here. Orange juice, to me, if I can't have that in the morning, I can't get going in the morning. Am I doing anything beneficial to myself by having all that orange juice?
Sure. Orange juice is an excellent source of vitamin C, just like the fresh orange that you have here. It's a tremendous amount if you have 3 glasses of orange juice in one day, probably more than the vitamin C that you need. Excess vitamin C that you take in will be lost through your
It's not
urine.
dangerous to do that.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think
Not
so
through
either.
regular foods.
What about sugar in orange juice? Is there a problem there?
Well, this particular orange juice is 100% juice, and there's no sugar added. There is a natural amount of sugar that's found in the orange juice, and that's fine.
Great.
I think your body can metabolize that well.
Well, let me grab my milk here. Where's the low fat? I want to get one of those.
That right over here.
Okay. We'll take one of those. I only need a small amount today. And I already have 3 gallons of orange juice at home, so we won't take that. Oh, well, I see here something else. Soft drinks. I kind of like these. What do you think about me getting some soft drinks?
They may quench your thirst in the summer, possibly, and they taste good. Some people think so anyway. And that's about it. Let's see, the type you got is a Diet Shasta.
I kind of like the diet ones.
You like the diet ones. There's no sugar, so it's not going to add the extra calories that you might get from sugar alone. NutraSweet, of course, you've heard, is under a lot of controversy right now. The Center for Science for the Public Interest is now recommending limiting your NutraSweet intakes to 1 to 2 servings a day, just to stay in moderation, make sure that you don't overdo it.
Yeah, I think NutraSweet is such a nice improvement over the taste of saccharin. I'm a big fan of that. I hope they don't come out with too many negative things.
Well, I think they'll have to wait and see what the research shows.
Bacon. Oh, I like to start the morning with a few pieces of bacon. Don't you think that's a great way to go?
Well, I don't think it's such a great way to go, but it is interesting that a lot of people think that this is a meat. But if you take a look at it, there's not a whole lot of meat in there. Mostly what you see is a white color, which is, of course, fat.
Now, if you really cook the bacon well, doesn't a lot of that go away?
Some of it does, but some of it also gets into your body.
No.
Bacon is generally fat. That's how I think of it. And it has a lot of salt. You can taste the flavor in it. And it's also laden with sodium nitrite, which has been known to be a cancer-causing agent.
Let's put the bacon back.
Yeah, let's put that one away.
What about some of the other luncheon meats, though?
Well, it's interesting. This whole case right here is not so hot nutritionally. Many of the foods like salami, pastrami, the cheeses are high in fat and high in salt. Even the pickles down the line, even though they aren't high in fat, they are also high in salt.
Don't you get some protein from these meats? I mean, isn't there some amino acid benefit in there?
Yes, it is originally a meat. It is a meat, and they've processed it so that they've added things into it that is not so desirable.
So your main concern, though, is the excessive fat and the nitrate in here.
Exactly, and that concerns me because many times people will eat lunch meats for every lunch time, and maybe even in between times for snacks. So their intake of salt and nitrates really is quite high for some people.
How about cheeses? Everyone likes good cheese now and then. We see cheese spreads, cheese foods, bars of cheese, you know, from probably the Napa Valley, all kinds of things like that. What do you think about cheese?
Cheese is a milk product, so of course it's going to be a good source of calcium, and that's especially good for people who don't like to drink milk. However, it is a very high-fat item, higher in fat compared to a whole milk even. And again, that fat intake can be a negative aspect into one's diet in that it might be related to heart disease or increase the risk of heart disease and cancer later on in life.
So as the cheese is actually made, they don't skim off that fat as they might in low-fat milk.
Right. Some of the cheeses you will find are part skim. For example, the mozzarella cheese is part skim milk, and so it will have a lower fat content. There is a range of fat contents in your cheeses. But in general, use it moderately. Okay.
We're going to head over to the breakfast cereals since I don't start my day without those. Let's get over there. Well, Matt, I know Matt Lane from Channel 5 likes Lucky Charms cereal, but I like to start the day with Life cereal. It tastes good. It really gets my day going. What do you think about this type of cereal?
Well, I haven't really tried this myself, but it does say it's a high-protein cereal. I'm not sure what that means.
Well, it means 5 grams per ounce.
Oh, does it? Okay. What I'm looking for on the label is to see how much sugar there is in here. And on the label, the second ingredient listed is sugar. That means it's going to be a major ingredient.
Boy, I'm just loading myself with sugar during the day. Soft drinks and the cereal and cookies and potato chips. We're not doing well with too much sugar here.
The main problem with the sugar, of course, is the fact that it can contribute to cavities, and also it adds extra calories that an average person may not need. Some people may be able to burn off those extra calories, but our average person who's not terribly active may not need it.
What cereal, though, would you recommend?
Well, the main thing is to look for low sugar content. Cheerios, surprisingly, is fairly low in sugar, and that tends to be a good one. And the
taste is bland,
people like
and so you have to add a ton of sugar to make it taste good.
Well, that's interesting that you brought that up, because I think that taste buds and desire for sugar is something that is often learned and taught. So, for example, if a child grows up with a lot of sugar on their Cheerios, then they'll always want it that way. And then without it, of course, it tastes bland. But if you start off that way, people can learn that it's not so bland after all.
Well, I guess I'm addicted to sugar. I would maybe try a NutraSweet instead.
Yeah, and small amounts of sugar would be fine. Some people put on maybe 3 tablespoons worth. You might try to cut back to 2 and then to 1 and then see how it goes from there.
Well, cereal I'd heard of since I was a little child is Quaker Oats. What do you think about that sort of thing?
It's an excellent food.
What does it have? What kind of nutrition are we getting there?
Well, plenty of fiber, which is real good. It's a whole grain. And it does have plenty of B vitamins, and it can be used as a hot cereal, and you can use it in other recipes. People make oatmeal cookies, for example, and that can add some extra nutrition if they still want something that's going to be sweet like a cookie. An oatmeal cookie would have more nutrition than that other one that you have in there.
Okay.
Takes a little more time to make, though.
Let's go over and check out eggs, okay? Well, Kathy, I don't even like eggs. In fact, eggs to me turn me off completely. Am I avoiding something that I need?
No. It is a good protein source if you're referring to something you might be turning away that you might need. But it is also a very, very high source of cholesterol. In fact, the egg yolk, the yellow part of the egg, is perhaps the most concentrated source of cholesterol in most of our common foods that we eat here in the U.S.
So we're talking about, again, risks of heart disease and stroke, things like that.
Exactly. And the American Heart Association has recommended that people curb their intake of eggs to about 2 or 3 eggs a week.
How about butter and margarine? What do you feel about that?
Well, butter is a milk product, and it's basically fat, and margarine is a vegetable product, and it is basically fat. Both are fat sources, and overall people should decrease their total intake of fat no matter what the source is. If a person is on a low cholesterol diet as prescribed by their doctor, they should probably switch to a margarine that is made from a vegetable source.
Okay. Now, before we finish today, I've got to get some steaks, so let's get over to the butcher shop.
Okay. Hi, Ted. Could you show us some steaks that you have on sale today?
Okay, for instance, I got Lennon broil here, which is top brown, and I have a ribeye here, which is boneless prime rib.
Well, I'll tell you, Kathy, I can't survive a week if I don't have beef at least 2 or 3 times during that week. What do you think about things like this? I just love to take that steak home right now and put it on the grill.
Yeah, it does look appetizing based on traditional thinking. But if you take a look at the difference between these 2 steaks, one is a lot more fatty than the other. Of course, it's the ribeye that's fattier, the one on the bottom. That extra fat, of course, is not healthy for one's diet.
Kathy, before you finish, let me show you the chicken and fish I have on special.
Great. I'm glad you showed that to me. Chicken and fish, of course, are good protein sources that are low in fat. In the chicken, most of the fat will occur right around the skin and in the skin, so if a person can take the skin off before they eat it, that would be even better.
Again, I'd like to thank the owner and staff of Warren's Market on Clark Avenue in Yuba City. Kathy, I guess we're just about out of time, and to tell you the truth, all this talk about food's making me very hungry for dinner. So I guess we'll have to close. Thank you again for joining me tonight on The Medical Explorer. It's been a true pleasure. Thank you.
My pleasure, also.
Since we're more interested
I'd like to invite you to write to me at my dermatology and allergy offices in Yuba City with your suggestions for areas and people that you'd like to see on this program. As you know, The Medical Explorer is a public service program, and I really do want to hear from you with your comments and suggestions. Please write to me at the Skin and Allergy Center of Yuba City at 367 Del Norte Avenue, 95991. In my next program, The Medical Explorer will take you behind the scenes of more interesting frontiers of medical care practices in the Yuba City and Marysville area. Till next time, I'm Dr. Robert Peppercorn, your Medical Explorer. Thank you for joining us tonight, and have a good evening.